In this guided meditation, we want to watch the mind very carefully and ask the question, what is a thought? Our thoughts feel very important, true, sometimes very big, very real, very solid. We weave them into stories. They have power over us, these thoughts that lead us around if we're not aware. But do we ever stop to look at the mind to notice what is a thought? Where does it come from? Where does it reside? And where does it go? So this meditation is not about thinking about what causes thoughts. It's not about getting into the content of thoughts. It's about trying to almost turn your eyes into your head to just watch, like a cat watching a mouse hole, waiting for thoughts to arise. Where's it coming from? And if you just are putting your attention directly on the thought, where does it go? So what's important is the looking, and to realize that oftentimes we're not even aware that a thought has arisen until perhaps afterwards, or after the thought at least has already arisen, and that's okay. You just want to begin to develop that ability to just look and notice, what is this thought? Where is it coming from? Where does it go? So to begin this meditation, it's important that you start with a very calm, relatively quiet mind. It's a mind that thoughts will appear in, but you want to have calmed the mind through meditation for however long it takes you, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, to the point where thoughts, other phenomena may be arising, but you're not following them so much, that the mind feels relatively clear, somewhat spacious, so that you can really have some clear seeing. It's kind of like wading into a clear lake. When we first walk in, the sediment is stirred up and it's difficult to see. If we stand still, the sediment will settle, the water will become clear, and then we can see what's happening. So we want our minds to be relatively clear to do this exercise. So resting your attention just gently, very gently with the breath. We're not really trying to focus on the in-breath and the out-breath. We really just want to relax the mind. So if it's helpful to just experience the breath, but then let your awareness just be open and relaxed, noticing what's arising. And specifically now, what we want to watch is the arising of thoughts. So as a thought arises, as soon as you're aware that a thought arises, just see if you can notice, where is it coming from? And what's important is not finding an answer, it's looking. Looking, where is that thought arising from? Not thinking about it, just almost like you could look into the mind. Can you see where the thought's arising from? And while the thought's arisen, where does it reside? And then if you just continue to just look at that thought, what happens to it? So it could be something simple. It might just be a simple word or an image that arises. It might be just a brief question, wondering, what time is it? Where did that come from? And again, not looking at where it came from in terms of what caused you to have the thought, but can you actually see where that thought is arising from in the mind? And if you just look right at that thought when it's arisen, without trying to think about the content, what happens to the thought? And when the thought dissipates, just coming back to rest in this awareness, this open mind, just a very relaxed mind, and just noticing again when the next thought arises. Same thing, where is it arisen from? Where's the thought coming from? Where does it reside while it's arisen? And where does it go? So practice in that way for the next few minutes. You may be noticing that thoughts just seem to almost magically appear from this mind, from this awareness. And if we're not holding on to them or chaining them together, and you just watch the thought, that it just basically dissolves. Sometimes it's called self-liberating, right back into that state of awareness. So as we watch with a clear mind, we might see that thoughts are arising, and if we don't grab onto them, if they don't become sticky, they'll simply just dissolve back into that same awareness that they've arisen from. And when thoughts do dissolve, when you do notice a thought just dissolving back into that awareness, just notice how the mind feels as the thought dissolves, just resting, kind of in that open, aware, knowing state of the mind. So coming back to the breath and concluding this meditation, and knowing this is something that you can practice on your own, bring it into your daily meditation as a very useful way of beginning to get more clarity in the mind and to start disempowering so many of those thoughts that lead us around, and actually giving us freedom when we see how insubstantial and transient, really like a rainbow or a cloud, these thoughts really are.